How's it going, everybody? It's Royalty Crypto here, and today I wanted to talk about the number one reason why I believe we will see a parabolic bull run in 2026. And this argument is not based on emotion or speculation, rather pure data. And what I'm looking at here is the manufacturing PMI chart for the United States. If you are unfamiliar with the PMI, it basically measures the health and direction of the US manufacturing sector. And the way that it does this is they survey purchasing managers on conditions like new orders, production, employment, supplier deliveries, and inventory. When manufacturers are confident in producing more items and increasing their inventory, it means that the overall economy is doing well because consumer demand has increased, and that basically means that people have more money than they previously had. So when you take a look at this chart, it actually has a very strong correlation with the prices of crypto. Because when the everyday person has more money to spend, they also have more money to invest. And sometimes this can be a leading indicator, but eventually this money does trickle into investments, and that is what we've seen for the past 10 years on this chart. When you take a look at this chart, you can see that when the PMI is above 55 to 60, crypto has historically done very well. For example, when Bitcoin topped in January of 2018 at $18,000, we had a parabolic bull run for a couple of months, and you can see that we were up here above 60 on the PMI chart. Then later in 2018, leading all the way into 2020, that is when we saw the bear market for crypto. Okay, so a lot of people blame that bear market on the 4-year halving cycle, but in reality, I believe that the PMI chart is the real reason why we saw that bear market. Then you can see when this chart bottomed in 2020 during the COVID pandemic, the government started to print money like crazy with aggressive quantitative easing and lowering rate cuts, and we saw this PMI chart absolutely explode into 2021 and remain elevated for basically the entire year. And during that time, we saw a parabolic bull run for not just Bitcoin, but also altcoins. And you can see the same thing happened. In 2022, we saw this chart dip all the way from 60 down to a 46 at its lows, and during that period of time is when we saw Bitcoin fall from $69,000 all the way down to $15,000 at its lowest. So since then, guys, we've seen this chart slowly trend to the upside, but for the most part, we've just been chopping sideways. And if you guys have been in crypto for the last couple of years, you can't necessarily say that we haven't been in a bull run, especially for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has gone all the way from $15,000 at its low to at its top $126,000. But the true reason why we've seen this bull run in crypto is not because the overall economy has been in a good spot. Rather, it's because we've seen institutional adoption with BlackRock and Fidelity entering the space and buying absurd amounts of Bitcoin. And we've also seen our government flip from very anti-crypto during the Gary Gensler administration to very pro-crypto under Trump's new administration. So guys, we have yet to see how crypto will react with a pro-crypto government and institutions buying crypto left and right when the overall economy is in a good spot. However, I do believe that we will finally see that this year, because when we go on over to ChatGPT, I asked, what do you think would happen if quantitative easing started? And I said that it started in December, which it technically did, because the Federal Reserve in December stopped quantitative tightening and said that they will start buying roughly $40 billion worth of short-term treasury bills every single month until April, and then they will reevaluate at that point and decide if they should increase their buys or lower their buys. So they did say that this is not quantitative easing, but it basically is, because it does expand balance sheets and adds liquidity to the overall economy. So ChatGPT thinks that if quantitative easing started in December, you can reasonably expect that until February, the PMI will not increase, but it will stabilize. And then March to April, PMI should rebound into the expansion, which is above 50. And then potentially in May to June, the PMI should be in the low to mid 50s, something that we have not seen since 2021. So when we go back to this PMI chart, as I mentioned earlier, whenever we see PMI go well above 50 into the mid to high 50s, that is when we can start to think think that we could see a bull run in crypto. So this could take time to reflect for the prices of these assets, but guys, I think that this is what we should be watching right now, rather than just being complacent and believing in the 4-year halving cycle, because the 4-year halving cycle is significantly less meaningful nowadays than it used to be anyway, because of the fact that the overall amount of Bitcoin going into supply is significantly less impactful than it used to be back in the day. So yeah, based on this information alone, I think that it is almost impossible to be bearish right now. And also guys, don't forget, President Trump is expected to announce his pick for the federal chair soon, with current chair Jerome Powell's term ending in May of 2026. So based on the betting markets, guys, Trump is either going to select Kevin Hassett or Kevin Warsh, and both of these candidates are as dovish as they could possibly be and pro-crypto. So as soon as these Fed chairs get appointed into office in May, we could see quantitative easing really take off, the money printers be turned on to the absolute max, and rates be cut down to as low as 2%. Some people even speculate as low as 1%, but I think that that is just speculation at this point. So yeah, I'm just saying guys, we could easily see the PMI chart above 60 by the end of the year if these things do play out. And if that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin is over $200,000 by the end of the year. It's definitely possible with these insane liquidity conditions. But as I mentioned earlier, that doesn't mean that the bull run starts now, because we always have these little events taking place in our economy that are adding uncertainty. And the main event that's adding uncertainty right now is the fact that the US Supreme Court is likely going to say that Trump's tariffs are illegal, and this decision is expected to take place on Wednesday. If this does happen, I don't really know how the markets will react. Some people might think it's actually a bullish thing because the tariffs have added so much uncertainty in the past couple of years. But personally, guys, I think that it is a bearish thing, because we would then have to refund all of the money that we've taken from these countries, or at least a lot of the money, and then we would no longer be able to get those stimulus checks in June of 2026, which of course I had said was a bullish catalyst, because the more liquidity people have to invest, the better it is for price action. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens, but definitely expect volatility leading into this event. And personally, I wouldn't be surprised if that volatility is mainly bearish, but we could end up seeing a buy the news event when this does get announced. Also guys, we have some inflation readings on Tuesday and Wednesday as well, and we really want inflation to be cooler than expected, because if that is the case, then it gives the Fed more ammunition to potentially cut rates in the near future. And for risk on asset investors, we want these rates to be as low as possible. But alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will be talking to you guys tomorrow. Peace.